What's going on, guys, and welcome to the first episode of Club and Country. Yes, Club and Country returns for the third season on my channel, and I'm super excited for this new project here in FIFA 17. Now, of course, if you're a long-term sub of mine, you'll probably know what Club and Country is, but for those who haven't watched Club and Country before, let me explain this series premise. Now, basically, in Club and Country, it's a good old-fashioned Road to Glory career mode, so a nice old RTG, but there's a twist to this RTG, and that is that in this series we're only allowed to sign players that come from the same nation as the club. So of course last season I did Paris FC, and the season before that I did Racing Santander. So in season 1 we had Racing Santander in Spain, in season 2 we had Paris FC in France. But for the third installment of Club and Country, and the first one in FIFA 17, I'm going to be doing an even bigger twist to this series to hopefully try and make it even more unique and even more of a challenge and even more enjoyable. First one was in Spain with Racing Santander. Second one in France with Paris FC. This one is with St Johnstone of Scotland. And you're probably sitting there thinking, well, let's be honest here, the SPL, not the strongest of leagues. Wait. Because as you were just seeing there, we're not going to be starting in the SPL. We're not going to be starting in Scotland. We're starting in the English Football League. We're starting in the Championship with St Johnstone, and I've swapped them into the second tier of English football in place of Barnsley, who were the lowest rated team in the Championship. So in this series, we're only allowed to sign players that come from the same nation as the club. So of course with St Johnstone, that's the team we're using. We're only allowed to sign Scottish players, but we're not going to be playing in Scotland, no. We're playing in England in the Championship, and I am super excited for this series. Now again, for those that didn't watch Club and Country back in FIFA 15 and also FIFA 16 as well, then basically as I mentioned there, that the series is all about signing players to play for the same nation as the club. And of course the side objectives to the series as well is that we also manage the country too and try and make them the strongest nation in the world. So hence the name Club and Country, very clever. So we're going to be signing players for the club that come from the same country as the club, and then hopefully calling them up for the country, and then making the country and the club the strongest in the world. Do you understand how it works now? It's pretty simple. So yeah, I'm super excited for this challenge, and it should be an awful lot of fun. And again, with this series being a twist to the original two Club and Countries, with St Johnstone starting in a championship as well, it should make this a lot more challenging too, because in the previous Club and Countries, we started in the second tier of Spanish football in the first season, and in the second season with Paris FC, the second installment if you will, we started in League 2 in France. And of course once we got ourselves promoted into the top tiers, we were competing in nations that are, you know, pretty strong, I would say, with France and Spain, two of the stronger nations in the world, certainly in Europe, that's for sure. And of course with Scotland, as I said a minute ago there, the SPL, it's not the worst league in the world, but it's not as strong as the Premier League of course. So our objective is to get St Johnstone to the Premier League through the Championship first, and it means it's going to be a lot more challenging than if we were managing St Johnstone in Scotland, hence why I've put them in the English Football League. So super excited for this series. You can see the objectives here as well, what the board wants to do on the pitch and off the pitch during this series as well, at least in the first season. And also you see the squad report for the first time here with my new side St Johnstone, and you can take a look at the players right now that are here. Now of course what you'll notice too is that some of these players are not Scottish. There are 6 players I do believe in total that aren't Scottish, and of course we're not allowed to use them. In Club and Country, we're only allowed to use players that are allowed to play for the same nation as the club. So of course in this installment, it's going to be Scotland. There are 6 players that are non-Scottish in the squad right now: Manus, Patton, Cummins, Coulson, Shaughnessy, and McCall as well. 6 players here are not Scottish, which means that we're not allowed to use them in any competitive games, only in friendlies. They're going to be put on the transfer list straight away, or on the loan list if they're new players with St Johnstone, and we'll try and get them out of the club. If we can't sell them or loan them out in the first season, we have to release them or just keep them in the resis, and we're not allowed to use them in regular first team games, competitive games I should say, and hence why you'll see we do decide to put these guys on the transfer list. So yeah, Club and Country back for a third season. I just want to say, you know, I'm really excited for this series, and I hope you guys are as well. Obviously in the first installment with Racing Santander, we did exactly what we wanted to do. We made Spain one of the strongest nations in the world, and of course we made Racing Santander one of the strongest clubs in the world, as we ended our competitive football with Racing Santander by winning the Champions League. And in FIFA 15 with Racing Santander, that was the objective basically completed. But in FIFA 16 with Paris FC, I prematurely ended the series after 3 seasons just because the interest dropped quite a bit, unfortunately, and I wasn't able to maintain it for as long as I wanted. But the reason why I feel like you guys will really enjoy this save here in FIFA 17 or Club and Country with St Johnstone is because of the twist with St Johnstone starting in the Championship, but But not just that, but because in this series, the emphasis is going to be more and more and more on youth players and youth academy talent. Now, of course, in the first two installments with Racing Santander and Paris FC, we had youth players that played their part in the first team, like with Racing Santander, we have Paco Candela, young Han Elise, Ronnie Ariaguza. In FIFA 16 with Paris FC, we had Yannick Giron, little Yannick Giron and Barmy as well. If you watch those saves, you'll know who those guys were. But of course, we didn't exactly need them. And the reason being was quite simple. France and Spain have a lot of great young talent. Now, Scotland have a few players, but let's be honest here, no one too amazing. In fact, I do believe that in FIFA 17, the highest rated Scottish player, I should say the highest potential Scottish player, has 84 potential. And then there's a few of 83 and 82 and 81 and 80, but not too many are really, really awesome players. So with St Johnstone, if we want to turn them into one of the best clubs in the world, and with Scotland, if we want to make them one of the strongest nations in the world, which is our objective, to get the club and the country to be the strongest in the world, we're going to have to rely quite a bit on youth academy talent. So in this series, you're going to see a hell of a lot of fake generic academy players coming through the St Johnstone Academy and playing their part in the first team, and then hopefully getting called up for the country as well. So this series is going to emphasize the academy a lot more than the previous two, and that's why I think you guys will really enjoy this series. We all love academy players in FIFA. I always feel like it makes your series your own when you have academy players and fake players coming through. It makes it unique to you and a lot more enjoyable, and that's why I think you guys will really enjoy this save, because there's going to be a lot of youth academy players featuring in this series. You'll get to know them. There'll be an eclectic mix of kooky characters, and I think you'll really enjoy the characters that come through the academy, as I'm sure I'll give them backstories and whatnot, and you guys should hopefully enjoy it. So as you can see, after we got knocked out in the tournament, we reached the semi-final for being beaten there. I hired myself a youth scout called Jack Reed. He's Scottish, so he obviously knows a lot about Scottish young talent. Brought him to our club. 4-star experience, 5-star judgment. Spent the bulk of our transfer budget on this guy, which wasn't a lot, of course, but we didn't have much money to start with, because of course this is an RTG. We start off with quite a low budget and a low rated team. We send him out to Scotland though on a 9-month mission, and again, this is going to be really, really important. Every single month, the reason why I think you guys will like this is because every single month, what happens off the pitch is just as important as what happens on the pitch, as we'll closely take a look at Jack Reed's assignments and see what type of players he picks up for our academy, because of course when we get academy players, we'll probably be throwing them straight in the first team. This is quite a poor side. As soon as we get some good academy players, good academy talent, and they turn 16 or older, we'll put them in our first team and use them straight away, and that's why again this series should be a lot of fun. But anyway, we did manage to sell one of those players there, Shaughnessy, one of the 6 foreign players who obviously put on the transfer list right now, as we're not allowed to use him during this series. Although I have noticed as well, as we come towards the end of pre-season here, that was the only bid I got for those 6 players. I put them all on the loan to transfer list. That was the only bid I had. The guys that are on the 2-year loan deals, I also changed that to 1-year loan deals as well, just so we can sell them next season if they get loaned out this year. But that was the only bid I had for one of those foreign players. So right now I've got 5 foreign players still on my team that I can't shift on. I can't even afford to release them from their contracts, I don't think. So they're just stuck in our reserves right now, and they won't be playing any games. But anyway, we had a bit of one of our Scottish players here, which we rejected as well, from Lorient for Wotherspoon, David Wotherspoon. And also I put in a bit for Celtic's Kieran Tierney as well. He's one of the few Scottish players that has 80 plus potential right now. He's 65 overall, 19 years old, and I think if we can get him as well, spend the rest of our budget on him after buying the scout, it'll be good to get at least one player straight away signed, and a real player too, into the first team that's young enough to go into the first team, good enough to go into the first team, and also has potential as well to be called up to the Scotland squad one day. Celtic rejected our valuation bid, but they did accept our second bid, which was £1 million, and Kieran Tierney, as you'll see in just a moment's time, does get signed as well on a 5-year deal on £6,000 a week. So again, this series is going to be all about progression. It's all about young talent. It's all about youth academy players coming through. It's going to be an awesome road to glory, and it should be a lot of fun. And if this sounds like your kind of series and you're a new viewer to the channel as well, I do recommend subscribing. Please do, because this series will be uploaded on a regular basis, and it should be an awful lot of fun. I've done the previous 2 club and countries. I've enjoyed them so much. I've asked you guys, I should say, you guys have asked me quite a lot, when's club and country coming back? When's club and country coming back? I'm super excited to bring it back for a 3rd installment. And again, with a twist in this series, starting in the championship with a Scottish team, a poor nation really, compared to a lot of the major European nations, trying to turn them into an amazing nation, trying to turn this club from a poor one into an amazing club, to basically make club and country the strongest in the world. world. In this series, it's going to be a lot more challenging than the previous two series. You know, with Racing Santander and Paris FC, it was difficult, don't get me wrong, starting with a poor team and a small budget as well. But with Scotland and St Johnstone, the challenge is a lot greater than the previous two, I do believe. And that's why I think you guys will really enjoy this series, because even in the championship, we might struggle right from the beginning. I think we'll be okay because I trust my ability, but, you know, this is not going to be as easy as the previous two first seasons in the previous two installments of Club and Country. This should be a challenge right from the off, and again, with more emphasis on the youth talent as well, it's going to make this series a lot more challenging, unique, and unpredictable as well. But that will end the first episode of Club and Country, so I do want to say a big thank you for watching, guys. I really hope you have enjoyed it. This is the score we have going into the first game of the series, and you'll see that as well in the next episode uploaded tomorrow. So a big thank you for watching the series opener. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then please do leave a like. If there's anything else that needs explaining, do let me know in the comment section down below. Ask me a question and I'll try and get back to you, otherwise someone else might be able to help you out as well. But I do hope you enjoyed the first episode. Please do drop a like if you did enjoy it. Likes do help the channel grow and are much appreciated. Thank you for watching the series opener, and I'll see you for the second episode of Club and Country featuring our first games with St Johnstone very soon.